So this is May 11th, 2016, and we are tuning into an offering from Guidance on the Sacred Self. So I'd love to do is ask everyone to start by closing your eyes and focusing your energy into your spine, as if you're gathering all these little bits and parts of your energy back to you from the day, wherever you've been, whatever you've done, and focusing your awareness between the top of your head and the bottom of your spine, so you're containing your energy and drawing it in, and getting to feel really, really grounded. And if this video is being shared, then if you're listening on video or audio, please do the same thing, bringing the energy in and focused. I'm going to begin by allowing the energy within our spines to awaken. So place your awareness in your spine and imagine your spine elongating down toward the earth, anchoring down into the belly of Mother Earth. If you can, make a distinction between imagining this in your mind or literally feeling the quality of your energy extending, consciousness extending down your spine into the earth. And now we're going to do the same in the opposite direction, opening the crown at the top of the head and imagining yourself opening your crown up and out, creating a funnel. And imagining light, high vibration light coming in at the crown, down the spine, grounding down to the earth. In this way, we are purposefully placing our attention on being a conduit for a frequency of light and love as we are joined together, and we're offering that to and from the sky and to and from the earth as a way of blessing. As we sit together, my intention is to offer this evening into stabilizing and blessing Mother Earth and everybody upon her, regardless of the species, and to stabilize the heart energy of the consciousness, of all consciousness here on Earth. Make sure tonight you're breathing nice and deep into your lower belly, keeping the body centered and grounded. And as you can, place some gentle awareness into your heart area, letting your heart soften and open like a soft morning flower facing the sun, just opening to receive. The topic we're sharing about tonight is placing the sacred self first. So firstly, there's a description of the sacred self according to what is being offered here tonight for your contemplation. Many people have their attention focused in the outer world of tasks and things to do, time-oriented reality, personally relating to life and identities and roles, and letting the outward attention be the spearhead energy for your movements of consciousness and moving the body through space and time. It is true that everyone is a divine self, that we cannot be separate at all from one another or from the one life that is. However, where the attention is placed makes all the difference in the experiencing of the human incarnation. So being divine incarnate, that is a tremendous gift and one to be cherished, and the focus on that is the act of bringing the sacred self first, making that the point of your existence. So as we are joined together now, go ahead and peruse through your consciousness, through your awareness, the feeling that you have toward yourself, the feeling that you have toward the thoughts that are moving through your mind, and the feeling that you have toward the sensations in your body. So we'll just take a moment in silence for that discovery. How are you feeling toward these areas of yourself? And as you can, breathe through the form of the body, opening and expanding the energy to receive more of yourself from your heart. So it is a curious thing. When you acknowledge yourself as the sacred self, then there's a way that you hold yourself in a regard of honor and respect, humility, service, and compassion. There is not a beating up of oneself. So this is to say that any thoughts that are coming through that are critical thoughts, self-judgment thoughts, are not taken seriously. You simply choose not to believe them. The brain produces 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. It is very, very, very active. It is the job of the brain to deliver thought into your experience. You get to choose whether you believe in the thoughts that are happening or not. So to try and stop thought is a feat in itself. To pay attention to thought is a muscle that can be exercised. And then to believe thought makes all the difference in your experience. So when one holds themselves in regard as the sacred self, they are saying to themselves, I am the divine intelligence of the universe manifest. I am God manifest. I am spirit manifest. I am that which is divine. And there's a regard for oneself when one is holding oneself in that relationship. There is a orientation toward love, acceptance, curiosity, expansiveness, and generosity. These are the qualities, some of the qualities of the sacred self. When one is acknowledging themselves as the sacred self and yet continues to beat oneself up, criticize oneself, put oneself down, then one is in disharmony with the notion of sacred self. That person is purposefully choosing to believe the thoughts of the inner critic and to take those as serious. And that is, unfortunately, a life-sapping experience to believe negative, self-negating thoughts. So again, thought is rare that it would be erased from a human consciousness altogether so that there's perpetual silence. However, the choice of what to do with thought is always yours. So, if you are to move into the act of honoring self as sacred self, you would want to shift your awareness to the thoughts that are loving. You would want to awaken in the morning and set the stage for your day. For some, this is meditation. For some, it is exercise. For some, it is journaling. For some, it is getting connected in nature. For some, it is breathing, deep connected breathing. Anything that facilitates the direct experience of the sacred self is what is being asked for. Now, most people have a concept and an intellectual construct of sacred self. I am the divine manifest, and it ends there in the mind. And there's no embodiment, there's no sensation or feeling of the reality of that. And it has been said many times, the mind cannot feel. It is not designed as a feeling apparatus. So how does one access the sacred self as a true direct experience? Because the true direct experience of one as sacred self makes all the difference in the experiencing of this human incarnation. So as you are watching or listening Please go ahead and use your deep connected breath, flowing this prana through your body. And as you can, bring the breath all the way down between the navel and pubic bone and circulate this sacred breath of life that is yours to have until you're done with this incarnation, and then you give this away. Taking the breath into deep rolling movement helps to create a relaxation response and an awakening at a sensitivity level to start to feel the quality of who you are. And who you are is meant beyond the identities that you're familiar with, beyond the roles that you play, and beyond the name that you call yourself. So who are you as you breathe and sit and feel this form that you are utilizing for the expression of creation? You are not the form. So right now, as we are joined together, take in the breath, focus the awareness on who or what is actually breathing. Get curious about this. Who or what is actually breathing? What is that mystery? And as you fill with the breath, give yourself to that. Letting go. Tasting the experience of the true self. Relaxing open. One of the greatest pleasures is disappearing the personality into the oasis of beingness. We are inviting that experience this night. And you are encouraged to continue to lean inward as this evening goes forward, to let the voice and the information almost be background to your direct experience of your breath, your heart, and your presence. That is more important than what is being shared. So upon awakening in the morning, we'll paint two scenarios. One, you wake up and the first thing that happens is the mind has its ticker tape going. All the things to do, everything that's on your mind, a million thoughts a second, things to tend to, things to worry about, beliefs about the self. Waking up first thing in the morning is the opportunity to know who you are the moment you wake up. Go right into deep connected breath. Who am I? Who is breathing? What is here? How does it feel to be the divine incarnate? How do I know myself as this? How do I feel that right here, right now? And begin with breath. Begin with shifting your attention and your awareness off the mental body into the chamber of the heart and into the breath, following the flow of breath. And start to invoke the direct experience of yourself as the sacred self, the holy being incarnate, having the human experience. Purposefully invoke this awareness. Ask for this to be vivified so that your direct experiencing of self as sacred self becomes magnified and thereby the predominant reality that you are experiencing. Entering the day from spending time in conscious awareness of the sacred self sets up a day of success. Because the life that you're living at that point is the life of the universe itself, knowing itself, collaborating, extending itself, playing with itself in all forms of life, and you are tapped into the direct experience of that one life being lived. It is not intellectual or conceptual, it becomes direct experiencing. And when you move from your moments of first waking up into the day in direct awareness and contact with that, then that is what leads and directs your consciousness through the rest of the day. So when distractions come up and the mind starts getting engaged in outer world circumstances, concerns, stimulation, there's a core sensation of your divinity, of your sacred self leading the energy. So it is more like a bungee cord. The mind goes out, gets distracted, and starts to pull the emotions with it, and you take a breath which you're entrained to from your morning sitting, and your focus comes right back to the sacred self as a direct experience of who you are. When you're sitting in the direct experience of the sacred self, then interactions are based in that loving nature. Interactions internally with yourself, interactions with coworkers, family, friends, even interactions with those who might be otherwise seen as pushing your buttons. The sacred self is seen everywhere, in everybody, all the time, when you are coming from that lens and that direct experience. For example, this is a very practical example. Let's say you are in a relationship and there's tension in the relationship. Perhaps there was a fight or an argument or a disagreement on some level. When you're standing person to person, will to will, struggle to struggle, then that is where your attention is, on the struggle, on who is right, on which position is valid. And when your attention is there, you have forgotten the direct experience of the sacred self. Because that tension, born of the personality, thinks it is separate from the one life being lived. There is no other to have that tension with. There is only the one life being lived. And when you are interacting from a state of forgetting, then you engage the perception of separation and you have the tension as if there is someone else to tussle with. When you are in the direct experiencing of yourself as sacred self, then you cannot experience the appearing other person as separate from you or other than you. And so there is an air of inclusion that naturally arises in the field that you are moving in, because you are resonating that way. When you are in the field of oneness with a seeming other person, then there's automatic compassion. And when there is compassion, there's also an act of curiosity. So instead of defending your position and making right or wrong, there is a leaning into the experience at hand. There's a curiosity about this other self that is myself is having this very seemingly different experience than the one that I'm perceiving. I'm curious about this self's experience. I want to learn about this self's experience. I want to know how that's happening for this self that is me appearing in this body over here. I want to know. I want to be informed. I want to be educated. I want the consciousness that I'm sitting in to expand, because more of me is showing up over here. And I want to know myself even more. And do you see, when you are seated in the sacred self this way, then there is no enemy. There is the invitation to know more of yourself through the expression showing up in what appears to be the other. And when you are holding a field of sacred self, and that is your intent and that is your purpose, is to live into placing the sacred self first, then the way is made open to harmonize much more quickly than personalities at battle. Because the intent is the love of the one life being lived, the cherishing of, the embracing of, and the acceptance of the one life being lived. That life is life-giving in that way when the sacred self is first. And it is only concerned with knowing love and mirroring love and expanding love and growing love. And so in this scenario where there could be argument and tension, when focused on the sacred self first, that more quickly melts away because there are less defenses up. And you can stand with the seeming other and say, I hear you. And you sound upset. And you sound like you feel very strongly and very passionate about your perception of what's happening here between us. And I really honor that. Now, this does not mean that if you have a very strong, different opinion of what's happening, that you disregard your opinion. To hear someone and accept someone's perspective and show them honor does not mean you are in agreement. It means you are receiving this other of yourself fully and completely, so that healing and harmonizing can take place because there's room for it. There's no defensiveness happening. There's no one to fight against. And then you have the space to speak the truth as you know it to be showing up through your own sense of self, in capital S there, whole own sense of self. And notice what your interest is. Is your interest to be right? Is your interest to defend your position? Or is your interest harmony, love, acceptance? Within the realm of harmony, love, and acceptance, there's room to say, I hear you in the perceptions you're having, and that sounds like it feels very strong in you, and I get it. What's happening in me is thus and so, and I'm feeling very strongly and very clearly about what's happening for me. So I agree that we are in disagreement, and I let the energy rest here. And you let it rest there. There's no neat, tidy little bow you need to put around it. And if there's an issue that requires resolving, so that agreement needs to be met, so that a decision and action can be made, then let it rest, and it will find its way. Because as you walk away in agreement that difference is not threatening, you walk away in spaciousness, allowing the innate intelligence that only wants to know and merge with itself to have room to work through whatever the energetics are that are causing the appearance of this separation. Many people are far more interested in their minds and their positionality and their opinions and judgments than they are interested in offering a vibration of love. And at this time in the human species, the most important gift is the vibration of love. The harmonizing medicine is the vibration of love. So if it were to be a game, the game would be who can get to love the fastest? Who can offer the greatest sum of love into the space the most quickly? And that could be a good challenge. It would be a good exercise to teach children. Who can get to love first? Who can offer it into the space? And to make it an inclusive game so that everybody benefits from the wave of love that's coming forth, no matter who it's coming forth through, because there is only one life, knowing itself, interested in harmony, interested in peace, interested in love. Now, you may say, how can that be true? There's war all over the place and there are people killing people, and there's no way that that can be true. And what we are saying is, it is the truth of existence. What people do with it is what makes the difference. Where the attention rests makes the difference. What motivates people's actions and behaviors makes the difference. So, being as nobody truly is a victim of their minds, the question comes forth, where would you like to place your attention? Where would you like to have your awareness? If it is nurturing you to have your mind spinning and have separation reinforced and have the body act that out, then that is a unique experience. For most people, that is not a nurturing state. Most people prefer the state of love, belonging, connection, union, feeling safe and feeling loved. It is human nature to want to feel loved and to want to grow and to continue to expand awareness. The sacred self is also the consciousness that holds all the wisdom and all the knowledge for your incarnation. One might think of the sacred self as the higher self. So when you wake up in the morning and you're ready to tap into a source that is there for you, it is the sacred self that you can turn to. Imagine your very, very best friend ever being a voice, a guiding, leading voice within you that knows exactly what you need every moment of your whole entire incarnation. That when the mind gets confused or the fear gets tight and control issues arise in the personality, that the sacred self absolutely knows what is needed and will bring it forth on your behalf. Imagine that that is what you get to have. And indeed, it is what you get to have as you choose to have it. So taking a breath here, returning awareness to the spine, the consciousness at the top of the crown and the base of the spine. Breathing. you're invited to imagine a place in your life where there might be some disconcerting energy, where there might be conflict, where there might be tension, whether this is an inward state within yourself or a state within you and to what appears to be another. So take a moment to have your eyes closed, breathe, and see if you can make contact with such an opportunity. For this exercise, give free rein to the personality to view this conflict. And some of you are quite practiced at being in the perception base of love and sacred self anyway, so there may not be too much difference for you. However, give the personality free rein to look at this conflict and offer its opinions, perceptions, and its take on the situation. And just hear that, receive that from yourself. Receive the personality and its operating system. And now, using your breath and your intentful awareness, bring forward, invite the curiosity and the spaciousness of your sacred self, this wisdom that you carry, to show you this from another angle. And for those who are practiced in sitting in the consciousness of the sacred self, there may not be much of a shift. For those who are open to a bigger shift, that may occur as well. But go ahead and get the sacred self's take on this very same conflict or situation and see what guidance comes forward for you from this quality of your consciousness. Just make a note to yourself of any distinction or differences in the perceptions that may have arisen on your behalf. This exercise of turning to the sacred self as consciousness to guide your perception is the key to this whole talk. Turning to your guidance, to your sacred self-wisdom, to your innate intelligence, to your God consciousness, to your higher self, whatever you will call it, is the key to everything to guide your life. Whenever you're in a state of feeling like you don't know what to do, you're not sure how to handle something, or if there's an experience of tension and conflict between yourself and the appearing of an other, you always have access to your sacred self to guide your way, to open the energy, to breathe the body into deep relaxation, to gather insight for what you need. The sacred self has the higher vision on what's happening and can see it from a much grander perspective and inform the personality of things the personality may not be privy to. This can be at the heart of turning any conflict into perfect peace, right there on the spot. For a practical application is, in the middle of a tension or a misunderstanding or an argument with a seeming other, you can stop right there and take a breath and ask your sacred self, how do I perceive this right now? You can even say to the appearing other person, let's hold for a moment, I want to check in. Right there on the spot. And you turn your attention inward and you summon your awareness to move to the state of the sacred self, and you pay attention and you humbly open yourself to hear, what is my guidance saying right now about this very moment? What do I need to be saying to this person instead of what I am saying? What is the perception I can hold here that would be more useful than the perception that I'm having? And let that wisdom guide and inform you right there on the spot. This is a practical application of the function, the truth, the existence of the sacred self. You have the capacity to tune into this quality of wisdom for anything in your life. It doesn't matter what it is. It absolutely doesn't matter what the topic is. The sacred self is always there because you are always there all the time. It's simply a matter of whether your attention is on that quality of consciousness or not. And if your personality is into having control over the situation and you're uncomfortable, that's a good signal to invite yourself to give that up and surrender open to the sacred self instead for your own behalf. And that will benefit everybody everywhere. So it doesn't matter if it's an argument with somebody, if it's a financial crisis, if it's a health challenge. It doesn't matter what the topic is. If it's a nutritional subject, you simply ask for this beautiful, unconditionally loving, enfolding presence to guide your way. The sacred self is the same intelligence that has all of nature being alive. It is the same intelligence that has the flowers growing and blossoming and opening in the morning dew to the sun. The same intelligence that has a relationship between the moon and the ocean waves and the tides. The same intelligence that holds all of the planets in relationship to one another. It's the same intelligence that animates all of life. That is what you are. And the more you start to lean into your experience of yourself as that, the more expansive and seemingly magical your life can become. It's not a goal. It's not something to achieve. It's simply that the innate intelligence that knows all things is receiving the awareness that you have with your attention on it, therefore flowing through you more consciously, so you are carried by that stream of knowledge, making the path easier because you are listening to your sacred self to guide your way. Remember, the sacred self is your absolute best friend of all time. And if you believe in past lives, of all incarnations. You have brought this ally of consciousness along with you for the journey. Placing your awareness on this, taking advice, taking insight, taking love from this place of consciousness is your birthright. The sacred self can provide all the love, all the nourishment, all the insight, all the safety and security that you could possibly want. It is a never-ending fountain of givingness, lovingness. And it's yours, and it's free, and it's always available all the time. Now, when you behold a seeming other in their sacred self, then you are offering a blessing. When you are holding another in judgment, criticizing them, and speaking against them, whether it's in your mind or heart or to another, then you are committing violence against yourself, because there is no other there. There's simply the appearance of an other. And so when you behold someone as their own sacred self, you are offering a vibration, you are offering a field of awareness that invites them into that holds them holy, that gives them something to rise into in themselves, because they feel that regard coming from you. And again, they and you are words pointing towards separation. You're offering the vibration of unconditional acceptance to yourself as you appear through the many forms that surround you and that you interact with. So the sacred self, when being acknowledged, tends to vivify, not because the sacred self can grow any more full than what it is, but because your awareness and your attention is on it. Therefore, the direct experience of it appears to grow, appears to vivify, because you are focused that way. Living life, placing the sacred self first, is living life in a field of miraculous unfolding. Miraculous unfoldings. Can you walk around directing your mind to expect things to be easy and beautiful and sweet? Yes. And if things don't match up to that perception, shall you collapse? No. Can you have the courage to continue to perceive things are easy and beautiful and sweet? Can you hold that expectation? Can you think those thoughts? Can you feel those feelings as if everything already is exactly as your ideal would see them to be? Can you feel that as a vivified reality in your body in the now moment and offer that gift of vibration up to yourself and thereby everybody everywhere? For this is one of the most sacred gifts of the human incarnation, is to use the gift of consciousness to gift one another, to gift the all that is, to gift the one. Starting by relieving yourself from the prison of the thought and the prison of the negating feeling that accompanies the thought. You will always know when you're thinking against yourself because you will feel bad. When you're moody and feeling bad, you can guarantee that you are thinking thoughts, whether conscious or unconscious, that are going against your very nature, that are denying the essence of who you are. Just like the old records have grooves, the pattern of thought can create wounding and hurt over and over and over. The same is true for uplifting the self. Thoughts that are uplifting, inspiring, loving, kind, and generous can create uplifted moods, emotional well-being, and even more vitality for the physiology. Therefore, contributing vital life to life itself wherever you go. You are a walking field of aliveness, a fountain of life, of good vibration. And this is a sacred act, and it is by choice that it happens. Were this to be taught in schools, you would see a very different world. A very different world, based in everybody genuinely cherishing everybody, because the direct experience of the oneself would be directly known as experience, not as a thought, not as a conceptual idea. So you are invited to take up this homework assignment if you choose to play, and that is to start to become more fully aware of your perceptions and your feelings. When you are feeling bad, instead of simply feeling bad and saying, oh, I just feel bad, notice that you're feeling badly and notice that there's something behind it. There is thought being generated, creating the bad feeling. This is different than genuine human grief or sorrow, as in losing someone that you love. Even there, when the human heart feels broken open, even there, what is the thinking? Are you focusing on the loss? Can you honor the loss and focus on the beauty that this person has brought to life, how they've touched your life? So you can respect and honor the process of grief, and yet turn your thought toward the aliveness that that person contributed to humanity. The way that we establish relationship with the sacred self affects every moment of being incarnated. And so There is not a requirement for perfection in this exercise. It is simply an invitation to get strong in the muscle of knowing self as sacred and knowing all beings as sacred, and to live into that, because the more that you practice, the stronger the awareness and the capacity to navigate that and directly experience that becomes. It becomes stronger. And that helps to create a world of nonviolence and inclusion and harmonization, which is very much needed for the human species and all the animal kingdoms at this point. So placing the sacred self first is a gift. You are gifting yourself, you are gifting all of life when you are placing the sacred self first. So we're going to conclude this offering with a few minutes of silent investigating, meditation if you wish, to peruse any and all areas in your life where you are noticing, without judgment, it is simply an opportunity for noticing, where you could bring your sacred self forth even more. It is twofold. Notice where your sacred self is shining bright in what areas of your life, and notice where you can bring your sacred self forward more. And when you are concluded with this meditation, for those who are listening, simply take time to journal about where the sacred self is bright and shiny and showing up, and where the sacred self can be showing up even more. And then follow the guidance that comes from that. Right now, we'll meditate on this together as we are in person.